Hello guys, welcome back to another video. So today we're going to be looking at Alephium, and for all those people that have viewed the channel before and watched all the Alephium videos, this one's not necessarily for you. It's for the newer people that are coming into the community through the price action of Alephium, more people buying in. This is just kind of like an overall view of Alephium, what it has to offer, what the pitfalls are, and certain other things as well that we're going to discuss in this video. So I'm not really going to go over the technology too much. I'm just going to talk about what we have right now, what's coming in the future, the price a little bit. As we can see here, we have the price chart up and a bunch of other things. So for those that are coming for, price predictions and stuff like that, I don't do any of that stuff. I normally just talk about the technology, what it has to offer, and then give my advice on mining and other things within the coins. So recently we've seen a price spike in Alephium. Obviously that's probably why most of you are on this video, and it's actually hit an all-time high. So if we go into the max, highest point right here, this is when a lot of the newer investors sold off, I believe, and then we've actually had a nice rise upwards all the way to around $2.87, and we could hit $3 soon depending on the way that the crypto market works. Obviously all the cryptocurrencies right now are up, so there's a reason for a lot of other coins to be up as well, but this is slightly more up than what you would say the Bitcoin trend would be. So there's a bunch of reasons for this that we're going to cover, and I'm going to give you an overview kind of what the ecosystem looks like for Alephium if you're interested in either mining or buying Alephium for the future bull run, which we should see probably around after the halving. So if we're talking strictly on price right now, over the last 3 months we've seen a nice steady rise upwards, from around 50 cents all the way up to around $3. So let's just say we're averaging it out at $3 from 50 cents. So that's a nice rise. However, we obviously haven't seen the halving of Bitcoin yet, so we've got to wait on that. Bitcoin's probably going to take a dump downwards after the halving. A lot of people tend to buy at the halving and then they dump off when the price spikes up a little bit. I know that we're going to probably see that, and then that's going to start kicking off the bull run hopefully. So going from the halving into probably 2025, when there's more, liquidity there, people start to regain the hash rate on the network and other things like that. That's probably when we're going to see this rise of other coins. So whatever price you're buying, Alephium or Kaspa or any of these coins right now, probably is still considered cheap for the next bull run. If I was going to take a guess on when you should buy it, I don't normally do technical analysis or anything like that, but you should probably buy it after the Bitcoin halving, when all the price of coins will probably go down a little bit, just because Bitcoin does control most of the market, and if that takes a dip off significantly, then a lot of other coins take a hit as well. Notoriously though, some coins have resisted against that trend. We have seen it with Alephium, we've seen it with Kaspa coin. So one of the main things driving the price obviously is the hash rate. So hash rate and price are kind of linked, not too much, but we're seeing a rise of the progression to GPUs, to FPGAs, to ASICs on the network. So that's always a good sign that people are putting liquidity into it. If people are building ASICs, then they see the future of this coin being very good. Those are all markers and indicators of how much, liquidity is actually being put into this whole coin as a whole, not just on a strictly USDT or crypto kind of money, but also the fiat side, because people had to develop these ASICs if they were putting them on the network, and these FPGAs. So as you can see with the hash rate here, we've seen a nice spike upwards. So this is probably when I believe FPGA testing was taken off the network. This is probably a nice rise because of the price, and then this is obviously a rise because of FPGAs, I want to say, and then it dips off slightly here. I don't really know what the dip off is for. I'm kind of guessing that maybe ASICs or FPGAs were coming off the network. I don't really want to say and come out and say that there is ASICs on the network. I just think that they'll be coming very soon. And then obviously if you look at the testnet of Alephium, we see a massive spike upwards. So the testnet, obviously you can test miners on the testnet. So either somebody put a large amount of hash rate, this could be an FPGA or an ASIC, onto the testnet network to test it out. So we're seeing signs of obviously FPGAs and ASICs coming soon. We saw this with a lot of other coins. This is one of those driver upwards of price. We saw it with Kaspa coin when it transitioned to FPGAs, and then when it transitioned to ASICs, that's when it had that really big price movement upwards. So if we see ASICs come onto Alephium, we might see the same thing going on in terms of the price. And then obviously the people that get in first, like we saw with the KS zeros, they made a lot of profits from that. You know, they had ROI times of around 15, 16, 17 days, which is extremely short in this market. So when we're looking strictly at this hash rate, I don't want to say it's an ASIC because you could achieve this hash rate with a relatively small amount of FPGAs. So even with the Osprey E300, which just released the FPGA bit streams for this miner, there's around, 16, 17 gigahash. So if you had 2 on the testnet, then that might basically equal out to what we're seeing in this hash rate spike upwards. But that doesn't mean that it wasn't a test for a better FPGA or even an ASIC at the end of the day. I would expect ASICs to be slightly more hash rate in terms of, you're getting around 16 gigahash. I'd expect an ASIC to be, at least 50, 60, 70 gigahash, a big jump above what we're seeing for FPGAs. And in terms of profitability, a lot of people have been making profits. I know the ROI times aren't great on this E300. However, they are making around $5 profitability, which is relatively decent in this kind of bear market that we're in. Probably going to see, if we do have better FPGAs or more efficient ASICs, we're probably going to see that profitability go up quite a lot for all of the newer miners that are coming online. And then that's subsequently going to push out GPUs. Like if you look on GPUs, some of them are still on Alephium because the price is high. But for the most part, I think we're going to see the transition to FPGAs very quickly. As soon as bit streams come out for the cheaper FPGAs like we have down here, for the C1100, the Forest Kitten, a lot of people pick these up because of Kaspa, and now they have, a place to go if they want to go onto Alephium when that eventually does come out to the public bit streams. And then on the other side, after the mining side, I would say, is we have this AyinSwap app. So over the past couple months, there's been a lot built on Ayin. So what it has to offer basically is a place to stake Alephium plus the Ayin coin, so in a liquidity pool. And you can see the various amount of liquidity pools that you can actually swap into. So a bunch of them here. Mainly the thing that I think is driving a lot of the price into Alephium as well is this Ethereum Bridge that they have opened up. They opened it up around, I want to say 3-4 months ago. And it basically brings in Ethereum, wrapped BTC, USDT, which is obviously what we want, USDC, and DAI stablecoin. And then they've got a bunch of other people that are building on top of this. So there's the number go up, which we've seen relatively do well in the space. And this whole ecosystem is actually really good for Alephium because it brings liquidity into other things. And then people can obviously stake and drag liquidity outwards onto the actual Alephium network again. And it's just kind of like a cycle. And smart contracts have kind of enabled this to happen. It's good that they have smart contracts. As we know, Kaspa doesn't have smart contracts. We talk about Kaspa a lot on the channel. If Kaspa did have smart contracts, I would kind of say it would kind of look like this, where you have a lot of people building on top of it. Some of them are just going to be meme coins like we see here, but some of them, might actually serve a purpose within the actual ecosystem. And we see that with Ethereum. And it's good that we're seeing a lot of people building on the Alephium network. So just quickly to touch on the Alephium Bridge, obviously bridge into Ethereum, so you can kind of not exactly steal the ecosystem from Ethereum, but it allows a connection between the two. So we can use USDT, and if we look actually back on here on the AyinSwap app, you can see the pools in the stats here. You have Alephium to USDT. If we click it open and go to the all-time chart, we can see at the start in November, it was trading at around this, and then it's coming up. So if you had put your Alephium in to the liquidity pool here, you would have been up 1,125% within around 3 to 4 months. And then there's a bunch of other pools there. We have Ayin to Alpha, but I think the biggest one right now is actually the Alephium to USDT, and that brought in a lot of liquidity just through the Alephium token bridge. So I have a video on my channel on how to actually use this and how to get USDT, but you can also swap it, I believe, on the AyinSwap app. So you don't actually have to go through the token bridge to swap it. You can just strictly trade within here. So you can go Alephium and then you can select USDT, and then you get your liquidity from there. So a lot of things going on Alephium. That was just a very quick overview. There is new block times that are coming in potentially, and there's a bunch of other things going on the network. But those are the main big things that we want to see. I'm just kind of giving you an overview real quickly. I'm saying probably from now to the Bitcoin halving is probably the best time to just DCA in. A little bit after the Bitcoin halving might be good as well. And then hopefully, we see some price movement upwards. If you're mining it, just mine strictly on, whatever hardware you have. I will obviously release videos if ASICs come out and talk about the profitability of them, if it's worth it to buy those going forward into the future. And then lastly, the pitfall of Alephium that we obviously can't overlook, and I want to provide you with information. So this last one is that they do have a token allocation. Now, we've seen a lot of coins out there have token allocations, and it basically rug pulls. So I want to make it clear that this isn't necessarily as easy to rug pull, because it does unlock at certain times. And one of the main things that was kind of, I think, holding Alephium back in terms of the price was that people were just dumping off their coins as soon as they got the allocation. So it releases over time, as you can see here. And I think the reason that we saw that price dip downwards at the start is because people dumped off a lot of their Alephium here. And then subsequently, once those people were out, a lot of people started to hold it from this allocation. And then the price started going up, a lot of people more mining it and stuff like that. So we have seen within the wallet addresses, a lot of these people, when it does get unlocked, they just start to move their Alephium and they dump it off onto an exchange. So once those people are kind of out, you have a good solid foundation to rely upon that they're not going to dump the price, because 140 million is quite a lot of coins to be pre-allocated, even when it unlocks at this rate. So we have it in 2025 is when the full unlock happens for all of them. And that's relatively quick compared to what the emission schedule is for Alephium. So a lot of people would be holding a majority of the coins, even though the emission schedule wouldn't really catch up to it. And obviously the biggest one being the sales one, which is 80 million. The ecosystem and team treasury, those have been used relatively well, because we've seen stuff like AyinSwap, a lot of other coins that are built on top of it, or tokens built on top of it, have received grants through the ecosystem and team treasury. There's a lot of things that the Alephium team have been doing to actually promote Alephium through aiding developers and stuff like that, getting the word out there. But the main thing that you'd want to focus on in terms of the pre-allocation is this 80 million. So I'm just letting you know that there is pre-allocation. I normally warn against it, but I think that we've seen a lot of the people that want to dump off their coins dump it off already. So we know that that's already coming, and the price has still survived relatively well, even though those people have been taking their coins off and selling them. But it does also add more coins for us to buy up, so you can't really complain in that aspect. So overall, this is just a quick video for you guys and new ones to Alephium, what it has to offer, just some stuff about mining, AyinSwap app. There is loads of videos on my channel if you want to go check them out. I do like dedicated videos to each one of these. So there's a dedicated video to obviously the FPGAs, the GPU mining side, the AyinSwap app, the token bridge, the tokenomics. There's a bunch of videos on the channel. All you have to do is search around for them. So just type in Alephium on the search bar and you should get them up. I'll leave links to all these in the description below. Let me know your thoughts on Alephium, if you're going to be mining it or buying it going forward, if you're going to be using the AyinSwap app, or any of the other stuff that the ecosystem has to offer. Make sure you like the video and subscribe for more content like this.